All creative processes are rooted in play, I believe. I really love building models, playing with color, with paint, with materials. Sean is super fluent in graphics and has a strong skill set with computer renderings. We develop concepts together and create narratives for projects.
A lot of the work is computer-based. There's a lot of points that need to be connected to convey your vision, and then to balance that out, we need to experiment, take a hike and observe the sun or the clouds.
We have done a lot of research on color in nature. It's inspired a lot by what surrounds us, landscapes and the sky, the soil. So it's really kind of like, how do we connect or reconnect to our environment?
We consider ourselves scientists. We need to touch it, we need to feel it to understand the origin of certain objects and materials. But then we also transform data so that it becomes color and space and experience.
I mean, color always evokes emotion. It triggers within every one of us a sensation, a memory, or something that we have seen, we have smelled. Architecture has become an interesting framework for us. We really developed this kind of site connection, like how do we respond to a place, how do we create a dialogue with the site. Within that we also seek like, what does sustainability mean and how do you sustain on this planet? So we were intrigued by Duke Energy's initiative to integrate solar power far more into the spectrum of energy production. When we connected with the Duke Energy specialist, he sent us all the graphs of how they look at harnessing power from the sun.
The sun's energy is a spectrum of wavelengths. Solar panels are tuned in to gather certain wavelengths better than others. In most cases, those solar panels are moving throughout the day. That allows the plant to produce about 20% more electricity.
So we were really drawn upon like, how do we see light and how do you observe the movement of the sun?
When we develop performance models for new solar power plants, the computer produces an image of that Mobius strip shape.
The analemma shape is really the driving graphic on a scientific end, and the analemma looks like an infinity symbol. And so this was the starting point for us to conceive a sculpture that will live in Experience Hall. We wanted to have a material that plays with light, so we chose glass as a medium to carry an optical film. We felt very much at home working with somebody who is really rooted in the tradition of glass making. And for us, it was really a phenomenal opportunity to just be next to the people who actually make these shapes.
You have this pristine borosilicate sheet of glass coming into this very fiery, soot-laden factory.
There is an extreme amount of heat coming from these ovens, so you're immediately like bathing in sweat.
You're looking at fire and how it transforms the glass, and at the end of it you have this pristine object. That dichotomy blew my mind.
That's been a really fun process to go from the glass maker in Indiana to this really highly specific coating place in California that came out of working for NASA on these very high-end applications.
With dichroic, there's always a color that you see through the glass, and there's a color that reflects off the glass. You'll be able to witness the mixture of the two as you walk through this installation.
We really tried to communicate a color spectrum that is specific, making sure that the color choices flow into each other.
When we propose things, it's all theory, and then once you start fine-tuning it, reality becomes a significant challenge.
With the engineering of the work, where we're like, okay, how do we create this as floating as possible, but yet with a sturdy structural plan in mind? Will it still translate the concept in an interesting way?
Working with very fluent consultants, designers, engineers, fabricators, architects, really help bring the piece alive.
It's a dialogue between an entire team who wants to make sure the sculpture gets integrated.
The sculpture has a soul. The primary experience are the glass pieces, but the voice of caustics and projections and reflections running through it, they extend the sculpture. They sort of project it onto the ceiling plinth.
So for this glass lens, it is curved. We didn't really think about what the encaustics would be, but once we illuminate, we found out, oh, it reflects in a figure 8, just like the whole sculpture. So it was a really fun moment where actually everything ties together. I believe we can create frameworks for moments to emerge where you're like surprised by the connections. If you see an artwork that actually has this universality that can inspire something within you that connects you to other greater ideas out there.